Welcome to part 3 of the Game Maker UFO asteroid style game build. In this episode we're going to begin with getting the UFO to move. So let's get started with that. I'm going to start by opening the OBJ UFO Object Properties panel, and we're going to go ahead and add some key presses. First we need to have the spaceship go left, right, up, down, and I would like to have the speed change when we take our finger off the arrow key. So we press down, it'll go one speed, we lift up, it'll slow down. So to do that, let's go ahead and start by adding an event. We're going to go to key press, left, we're going to bring in the speed horizontal, and if you notice the arrow is pointing to the right, so that means if we want to go left we need to go to a negative number. So I'm going to type in a -6. This is going to be applying to self, and it will not be relative. I'll click OK. And if I want to do the key release, I'll click on key release left and bring in the horizontal. I want it to slow down in relation to the speed it's going in. So we're going to go 3, a +3, and make that relative. Click OK. We're going to do this for every direction. So the next one will be key press right, and because it is going in that direction, it will be a positive number. And then add event key release right, and this one will be a -3 relative, and everything is to self. A few more, we'll go key press up. This time we're going with speed vertical. Notice the arrow is pointing down. If we want to go up, it needs to be a negative number, so a -6 to self, not relative. Add event key release up, and this will be positive because we're going to be taking it in the opposite direction, relative by 3. Key press again, down. Because it is down, it's going to be a positive number 6. And then key release down will be a -3 relative. And for good measure, I like to use the shift key to stop the UFO. So we're going to add one more key press. This is going to be the shift key. And for good measure, I mean, we probably could just do the move fixed 0, but I'm going to go ahead and add 0 to speed horizontal and 0 to speed vertical, and we'll leave it at that. Let's see what happens. We'll save that. We'll do a Command S to save our game, and let's test it out. If I move up and keep holding it up and then let go, it slows down. That's working. If I go down and let go, it slows. To the right, good. To the left. If I hit the shift key, it stops. The only thing we do have a problem is if I go off the screen, it's gone. I have to hit the other arrow to bring it back. There it comes. So what we want to do is we want to add wrapping to this so we do not lose our spaceship. If we go off to the right, we want it to come in on the left. If we go off to the left, we want it to come in on the right. So it's actually going to warp around the screen. Let's go ahead and get out of this. Okay, so to do the warp, we're going to open up the OBJ UFO Properties panel again. And this time we're going to add another event. It's going to be Other and Outside Room. This time we're going to grab Wrap. It's called Wrap Screen. And we want it to apply to self, but we want it to be both directions. Click OK. OK again. Let's save it. Let's go ahead and test that out. So now if I go off the screen to the left, it should come right back in on the right. There it is. If I go down, it comes in from the top. Good. So it seems like that's working just fine. Now that we have all that done, we want to go ahead and start exploding meteors. We're going to create a new sprite, and this time we're going to use a sprite sheet. So if I click New Sprite, we're going to call this SPR Explode. And we are not going to load a sprite. We're actually going to click on Edit Sprite, open up our sprite editor, and if I click up here under File, I'm going to create from strip. I'll actually click on my explosion PNG. There it is, open. And now I need to enter in some numbers. First it wants the number of images. Well, we have 4 rows of 5 and 3 more, so that's 23 images. And there's actually 5 images per row. Even though we have one row that's short, we'll type in 5 per row. And then we need to know the image width and the image height. Well, I've actually already done the calculation for this. It's actually 45 by 45. Now, if you get a sprite sheet of your own, you may have to play around with these numbers to see how they fit. So they all appear to be centered. We're not going to worry about horizontal cell offset. That means all of these would be offset to, either by the X or Y axis if there was a border around these images. There's also a horizontal pixel offset, which means there's actually extra pixels, or there might be separation between the objects. None of those exist, so those are all set to 0. Let's click OK. And if we want to show the preview, let's go ahead and fix our speed to 30. There we go. So that's what it's actually going to look like. That looks pretty good. Let's save that. Click OK again. And now we want to create an object. So click on Object, OBJ, Explode. We're going to select the sprite, SPR Explode. Click OK. And now we're ready to program in our explosion. We do have one other thing we want to do, and that is we only want the animation to play through once, then end. So like we did with the photon, we're going to add an event, Other, Animation End. And when the animation ends, we want to destroy the sprite. So destroy the instance, to self, and OK. Let's go ahead and save that. We'll do a Command S to save, and we're ready to actually start having photons colliding. Okay, that's it for this episode. Next episode, we will get into collisions and adding sound effects to our explosions.